Hi guys! So today I am continuing on the illustration that I started in my last video where I got all the line art done, so now we're working on the coloring phase of everything. I don't think I've ever really talked very much about my coloring process. It's definitely pretty obvious, I guess, and it's a very common way to color for a lot of people, especially when they use really heavy line art. This tends to be the way that I've noticed people like to do it, but I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit just so you can kind of be clear and understand what exactly I'm doing. But when I start out the coloring process, what I do is I do the step that's called flatting, or to flat the colors. And that's just where each shape that is not connecting or overlapping with another shape gets a color. That way I can have like 5 different layers and every object is colored on that layer, but I am able to quickly change the color that actual object is without changing any of the other colors. So I like to start that way by just getting everything blocked out and solid. That way I can come back in after I've kind of picked out the colors that I know that I want, or I've thought about it a little bit more, and that way I can specifically put down a color for each area rather than trying and picking a color at each object that I'm painting and then it's not quite working, then I'm getting hung up on an object because I can't quite figure out what color I want. So this really helps me to be able to just start moving, especially since coloring, I struggle with a lot of getting the right kind of colors right off the bat. I definitely spend a long time going over colors and trying out different ones. So this helps me to be able to just start right off with everything already filled in, and then I can just fuss with the actual colors that they are. So yeah, this method is super common with a lot of different people, especially for people who use very heavy line art, or they're just very prominent with their line art. And not so much I've noticed with people who create more painterly styles, obviously, because they want to blend the colors together and create more of a painted look as opposed to this more graphic, illustrative, sharp look, which I personally like. So that's where I kind of built upon, is this look that I liked, and that's the way that I wanted to create it. And so yeah, that's the method that I use, where it's just really sharp and clean and definitely not painterly. And then I usually end up reaching a point where I have fussed with the colors and nitpicked each one, and it's just not, I'm just not satisfied with how it looks. It's not quite right, but I'm not sure how to fix it. And at that point, that's when I go in with the shadows and I add back the volume to it and just give it more form. And that way I'm able to kind of see more how the colors are playing with each other in more of a finished way. And that helps me to be able to see, okay, well, the values of these two, they're not really working as well as I want them to because they're blending together or whatever. And that way I'm able to see what to fix, and then I can come back to the color stage and fix those and make more fine-tuning stuff, but it's starting to make more sense and I can round it out a little bit better. And then after I've gone back to the colors and fixed things a little bit and really reworked the shadows and everything, I go on to, usually it's a couple layers of highlights where I want really strong light to be hitting, especially for like rim lighting or really strong light sources. So yeah, usually my color process is very separated. I do the local color, and then I do the shadow, and then I do the highlights, and they're all on these different layers. And that's just the way I like to do it. I like to be able to have them very specifically separate, and I don't really like blending in my own work, so this really works well for me to be able to control exactly where I'm putting the colors and what's happening. I think in the end I actually ended up struggling more with the colors for this one than other ones, and I think the big thing was that I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted it to look like color-wise, or the mood that I wanted either. Usually I try to think about that while I'm sketching it out and then doing the liner and just getting it to the point that I'm ready to color. I've already kind of have at least a mood in mind, if not the actual colors. So for this one, I really struggled with that. While I was working, I had a reference that I liked, and I figured, okay, I'll probably do the colors off of that, but when it came time to actually color, I guess I kind of forgot about it, or I don't know, it just didn't seem right anymore, so I didn't use that. But I really regret that, because I think that really would have grounded it out and brought the colors back a little bit more towards reality. So that's pretty much it for this piece. I can't say that I completely love this one, but it did really help me to be able to visualize how I want my graphic novel to look. There's a lot of parts about this piece that I really liked and I think that I want to enhance and reuse, and then there's a lot of things that I didn't like. So I think that's the big thing about visual development, is doing lots and lots of different versions and options and choosing the ones that work the best and getting rid of the details that don't. So as far as that, this piece was very successful in helping me figure out what I wanted. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can catch all the future art videos. And until then, I'll see you at my next one.